Welcome to Water into Wine, a podcast with Father Charleston Wilson, rector at Church of the Redeemer in Sarasota, Florida. I'm Greer Ferguson, the communications director at the church. Father Charleston is a priest, husband, father of two, Anglophile, sock enthusiast, Motown fanatic, and proud native of Linden, Alabama. Oh, and a wine connoisseur. We're sitting down to chat with him about how to invite more grace into your life, how to develop a deeper relationship with God, and how to enjoy a great glass of wine. We're meeting at the intersection of music, faith, wine, and a good helping of modern cultural references. Put it all together, and we're telling the story of God's love and bringing it to life in a fresh way. Join us right here for casual conversations with your spiritual sommelier. Today, we're talking about expectations. And to start the conversation, we're opening a bottle of wine. What are we drinking, Father Charleston?
Today, we are drinking from a region that's sort of my first love, Bordeaux, France. I was lucky enough to live there on and off for almost 3 years. We're drinking a wine from 2020, and it is called Château Curton La Perriere, and it comes from a little village about 30 minutes south of that gorgeous historic village of Saint-Emilion, the heart of Right Bank, Bordeaux. And this wine, unlike every wine in Bordeaux, most wines in Bordeaux are blends of up to 5 or 6 grapes. But in this particular area, Merlot is the dominant grape. And I don't know for 100%, but I think this is like 98%, if not 100% Merlot.
Mm.
That's what we're drinking today. We're
Very
drinking
nice.
Curton La Perriere.
Very nice. And why this wine for this episode about expectations?
Well, because when you think about, I hope you can appreciate this, when you think Bordeaux in this marketplace, anybody who reads anything about wine thinks of the just insanely expensive wines of like Margaux and Aubryon and Lafite Rothschild and Angelus, Pavé, on and on, Yquem. And so you're expecting something, this is going to be like, oh, this is a budget buster, quit listening to this episode. No, wine is $14. And
Very good.
it's a fine wine, and it's $14.
Very good.
Great expectations, to quote that book by Dickens that was, I think, designed as punishment for ninth graders. But I love his other works, just not that one. So you were expecting something expensive because I said Bordeaux, but things are not always as they seem. So this is a value grab, to use what I hear people saying these days.
Very nice. Value grab. So today we're talking about expectations, the things we want, the things we hope for. But before we get into all of that, let's taste the wine and see what we think.
Brilliant idea.
Tell us what you think of it.
Remember, we always look at the wine, and some people ask, what do you mean look at the wine? Just look and make sure it looks right. You'll know if it doesn't look right. It looks like a red wine should look. It's not greasy or something's not wrong with the glass. It looks fine. And we do that very quickly. And then, of course, we smell. And I'm always telling you to get your nose in there, and you're always being so prim and proper, but just go for it. And then we take a sip, pulling it across our tongue.
Oh, very nice.
It may have a touch of Cabernet Franc in it.
I was going to say that, but
right. I think it has a little Cabernet Franc, which is one of the grapes that's sanctioned in Bordeaux and in that village. But it's mostly Merlot. This is probably 90+% Merlot. And I immediately want to actually stop doing this podcast and take this bottle and go home and grill a steak.
Yeah.
This is grilled meats.
Mhm.
So this is your, we happen to live in a place that's grilling weather all year long. Actually, not in summer. It's too hot to grill here in the summer.
Yeah.
But this time of year, it's great to grill. Fire up the grill, open this bottle about an hour before, put some meat out there on the grill. Venison would be particularly good with this because it's Merlot driven. It's medium bodied. I know for a fact it's not stylistically Bordeaux in as much as if you drank this blind. I don't mean lacking vision. I mean, if you didn't know what was in the bottle,
Right.
just to clarify that
Right.
for some. And I don't think you'd pick Bordeaux for this, and that's because this wine, they don't age in oak. It's aged in stainless steel, so it's a little more fruit forward.
Hmm.
The tannin is a little less sharp, and it's won. This wine has won tons and tons of awards for value and quality.
Hmm. What fruits are you getting? Like berries?
This black currant, plum,
Hmm.
you might get some spice. Bordeaux wine, Merlot from Bordeaux. The poet didn't know it. You can often even get a little chocolate
Hmm.
or burnt toast. I don't get the toast here,
I
but
was gonna say maybe cinnamon?
you can for sure get cinnamon.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
a
got
little.
one right.
You're a natural, and it is what it is. It's not a as long as it's not completely outrageous. What your body tells you is what it is, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it good.
Dawn dish detergent.
Yes, if that's what you get, and sometimes you can get that in some wines.
Yeah, no, I think that's because of how I wash the glass.
Probably too much detergent. But
Dawn Power Boost.
yeah, that's some strong stuff. But it's balanced. It's smooth. It's the tannins we would say round tannins instead of tannins that's the tannic acid. That's the part from the skin that of the pucker factor on your
Mm.
tongue. It's like the tea leaf or tea bags. Those are tannic. If you're from the South like I am, the inside of the pecan
Mm.
that's a little bit bitter. That's tannic acid. That's
Mhm.
what I mean by tannins. These are sort of round and soft. They don't hit you very hard. So let's go grill.
Oh, that sounds good to me. Well, as Father Charleston mentioned, our topic today is expectations, and we're going to talk about the expectations we all have for our lives, unfulfilled expectations, and how we can wait patiently for the things that we hope for. So, let's start with the basics. What are some expectations many people have? What have you found in your work as a priest?
Well, what you and I express as our expectations, vocally or in prayer or to our friends and family and neighbors, um, really is different than the deep expectation that you have
Hmm.
and that I have. I hope that doesn't sound hopelessly theological or pious, but um, you think it's the next car, or the promotion, or the latest Rolex, and you get it, and then you're like, it's just not quite delivering what I thought it would.
Mm.
I think God set it up this way because the greatest expectation, and we'll just drop the all-time Augustine most famous quote, "The heart is restless. The
Mm.
human heart is restless until it rests in thee." So we have a little bit of problem as being human beings articulating the greatest expectation, the greatest need, which is plain and simple relationship with Jesus Christ. So invariably, when I tell you all these things, these expectations or goals or life plan that I set for myself, all of them are going to fall somewhat short. That's not to say that the wine you can buy and the trips you can take and the friends you have aren't life giving, wonderful things that you should pursue and enjoy, but they don't quite reach the level of ultimate satisfaction.
Mm.
I can't get no. No, 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 no. I can't get no. And there's a lot of wisdom in that song,
Yeah.
and Mick Jagger's brilliant, so that's just the way it works. And
S-
the and I'm actually I'm sorry I'm cutting you off because preachers love to just
no,
talk, talk, talk.
I've noticed that.
Malaysia says some nights, that's my wife, dear listeners, she says, "Okay, you're getting real close to your word limit for the day." And, she says, At some point, it's gonna come in there and my mouth will be moving, but no sounds will come out because God just closes it off at a certain time." So I'm sort of wordy right now, and, but I did think of a Bible verse, from I think it's from Luke when, the disciples and John the Baptist's disciples, Luke says that they all were in expectation, questioning in their hearts, if Jesus was Jesus. And that has just popped into my head. So that's a big question. And the bedrock of the Bible, really, and the joy of all the saints throughout the ages is the knowledge that the Messiah has come, that Jesus is Lord. That's the central proclamation of the New Testament. And that's the essence of the good news of the gospel. Um, and it's the hope that the church offers the world um, today, and anything less is less than your greatest expectation. Johnny Lee, the great country singer, remember, looking for love in all the wrong places, in all the wrong faces. He wrote an autobiography, by the way. He'd been married like 6 times, and brilliantly, he titled his autobiography, Still Looking for Love in All the Wrong
That's
Places.
great.
Way to own it.
So you mentioned something that I wanted to ask about. You said that even in prayer, sometimes people aren't honest about their
Yeah,
expectations.
they're
They're
not.
not being honest with God. Why not?
Well, I guess, the easiest answer is that I want to be in charge. And the original sin is not, when we talk about original sin or what happened in the garden, it's not using swear words or um, parking in a handicapped spot. That's not what really original sin is. It's really encapsulated that I want to go it on my own apart from God.
Hmm.
It's rooted in pride that I want to prove myself. And in Jesus, everything's been proven. So I think we're dishonest in prayer in as much as we're wishing and hoping and waiting and planning and praying Dusty Springfield. Um, when we're dishonest in as much that we're not recognizing the greatest need, the greatest expectation, the real joy comes from a closer. That sounds, very evangelical or mega churchy, but really it's true. A closer relationship with God, and it's all fulfilled in Jesus. And, I mean, just ask yourself, dear listener, what expectations do you have right now? Where does a closer relationship with God rank on that list? And by closer, I don't mean striving and mastering it like making homemade pasta. I mean, let Pete Townsend, let my love open the door. That's what I mean by a closer relationship. Let God's love open the door to your heart.
So how can we go about waiting for those expectations patiently, prayerfully?
Patiently and prayerfully, that's a good one. Particularly like if you're in a tough spot in your life,
Hmm.
is another thing you're basically asking me.
Yeah, how if you're waiting and waiting and waiting, how do you keep that patience going? How do you keep praying when it just seems like the expectation isn't being met?
Well, I'm gonna use a Churchill quote. It's not in the Bible, but it should have been. Um, when you find yourself going through hell, by all means, keep on going. And that's perseverance. It's not a stiff upper lip. Keep on going. Actually, I was listening to another podcast, and the brilliant designer Gabriella Hearst was talking about her ranch in Paraguay, and she's very highfalutin, sort of in right now, designer. And she said she learned all of her life lessons from being on her dad's farm. And so the podcaster said, like, what's one life lesson? And she
Mhm.
said, don't gallop on the rocks. And she basically said, just take it slow.
Mm,
The horse will eventually get you to the other side. Just don't try to gallop.
mm. Meaning trust God's
Trust God. The
timing.
horse is going to deliver you,
Mm,
if it eventually.
mm,
How does the hymn say it? Soon the night of weeping shall be the morn of song.
mm.
And that's true. It's hard to do and put into words or practice, but don't gallop on the rocks. Gabriella Hearst told me today. I don't know if she makes any men's things, but I know she makes beautiful fashion for ladies and has dressed some first ladies and such.
That's a good saying. So we can kind of surrender in a way by giving our expectations to God through prayer.
Well, it's the only thing that's going to bring you any real peace that lasts more than a half hour. Um, because most of the people I meet are waiting or expecting a new life coach to show up and help them fix themselves is what I'm trying to say. And the world offers plenty of would be messiahs like that. And I like Oprah and Dr. Phil as much as anybody else. I think they have some great shows, but that's the Messiah for millions and millions of people. But it's never quite enough because really all the worldly messiahs can do is demand, and usually they demand fix yourself.
Mm.
Um, Give that a try and tell me how it goes. Write us, and tell us.
Is that part of it, though? Part of I mean, we have some responsibility to
Yeah.
try,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Everybody's always nervous, depending on your ecclesiology or your church worldview, how much, how much God, how much you. Um, I think at the end of the day, experientially speaking, you'll find that the best way to grow up is give up. And then you'll all of a sudden find yourself doing things like growing in holiness, to use sort of a churchy phrase.
Mm.
It's those that are too keen that frankly worry me a bit. I go back to the Pharisee and the tax collector in the Bible, and which one does Jesus say walks away justified? The tax collector, the Pharisee rather, looks over, and says, God, I'm glad I'm not like that guy. I do it all right. I tithe and I eat green beans and I go to Orange Theory and all this stuff. And then the tax collector, meanwhile, who does not have it together and he knows he doesn't have it together, you know the story and remember it. He just says, Lord, have mercy on me,
Mm.
a sinner. And Jesus says the one that walked away righteous was, of course, the tax collector. I think throwing yourself at the feet of God is the path to spiritual maturity.
So, it sounds like there's some peace that can come from just what you're saying, from kind of, I don't know if giving up is the right phrasing.
Well, I said that to be
You
kind
did?
of
Yeah, I thought you
provocative.
did say
No,
it.
I wanted it to be I meant it to be provocative, so it's not hyperbolic, but I did wanna try to overemphasize when I use those words on purpose
Okay.
because
Okay.
I really think there is such power untapped in raising the white flag of your life before the victory flag of Jesus Christ,
Mm.
who is reaching towards you, not pushing away from you.
Mm.
And I think that's the path that we will grow closer to God and grow more in his likeness with that spiritual posture.
Mm.
That's what I mean by giving up. I
Mm.
don't mean stop praying and not going to mass
Mhm.
and not caring for your neighbor. I don't mean that kind of give up.
Not
I
the
mean, give up the charade
mm.
that you're all that and a bag of chips.
Mm.
Because we don't, that's the beauty of being in a relationship with God. He's the one person we don't have to fake it to make it. He's already proven his love for us, that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. There's nothing left to prove. It's a chance to respond, maybe, if that's the balance we're looking for. What's my part? What's God's part? It's not a got to, it's a get to. And that's all the difference in the world.
Mm. So how can we focus less on our own expectations? It seems like that's kind of a it's hard. It's a natural human thing to do, but how can we spend more time thinking about peace, joy, our relationship with God and less time on our own expectations?
Well, you've talked a lot about prayer. We talk a lot about prayer in this. Prayer is a beautiful part of it. And the tried and true methods, you hear it in almost every episode of this, of getting involved in a good church. What's a good church? A church where the gospel is preached with alacrity and conviction and the sacraments are duly administered. And get in with that community and be fed spiritually and be nourished. Um, take, St. John the Baptist, I've mentioned him before, but he really says it best. I must decrease so that he may increase. Spiritual humility before God, a recognition that you are a forgiven sinner. Um, these are all things that can be done daily. And church is that overlay where the goodness of God and the brokenness of man collide. And the shop worn saying, but it's still true. A good church is really should not be a country club of saints. It's a hospital for sinners.
Mm.
And if you would like to be bandaged up and be healed, Come on in. The water's fine.
Well, now it's time for a listener question. When you're feeling sad or down, how do you deal with it?
Oh my gosh, dear listener, you're meddling, but I'm going to answer it and do so honestly. You're not going to believe this, maybe, because it's like most of my thoughts, sort of crazy. I used to, when I was sad or blue, I thought like the world's falling apart, and I needed to certainly go get some serotonin and a mask that you can plug in and gives you vitamin C, and um, I used to just think all that was so essential, and I it really frustrated me when I was sad or blue, and then the frustration of being sad or blue made me bluer and sadder. The clouds got cloudier. Instead of from partly cloudy, it would go to totally cloudy.
Hmm.
At this point, I have actually, and I'm not on any serotonin medication presently, and I have what I do when I'm sad or blue, and it's back to the quote I said honestly about from Gabriela Hearst, the great designer, "Don't gallop on the rocks." And by that, I just sort of own it now and embrace it. You're going to say, "Oh my gosh, he's a masochist," but I don't, because I know that it's going to pass, and I know that God's present when I'm sad, just like God is present when I'm joyous. And I'm going to say something here that's experientially true that nobody talks about because they would be a fun sponge or a party pooper, but I've felt closest to God when I've been most blue. And that's been reported to me by hundreds of people. We don't talk a lot about that. I think we're embarrassed by that, but it is true. When you're having a breakdown, God's just going to do a breakthrough. And I've found that over and over in my life. And so now when I get sad or blue, I just sort of, ironically, I get kind of excited because God's up to something. And I know that no hurricane lasts forever.
Yeah.
So thank you, dear listener, for getting into my head. In my head. That was a terrible song.
Well, we also have a bonus question today. This one's a little less serious, a little more fun. What's your favorite TV show that you're watching right now, and why? Why is it your favorite?
Oh, this is great. Thank you, dear listener. There's a TV show that I watch and have watched for years, and I try to watch an episode a day. Sometimes I only get like 15 minutes, but I watched the TV series Dallas. And have for many, many years. It's 357
Oh
episodes.
my gosh.
And
It's a
excuse me.
full-time job right
It
there.
well, it is. And it's I don't watch one season. I think it's season 9 because that's the one when Bobby had the dream. He wakes up in the shower and the whole previous season was a dream, but that was because there was a fight with Paramount or whoever it was, and they wrote him out, but then he wanted to come back in because Larry Hagman got him back in, and of course that was JR, and JR got him back in the show. Anyway, I don't watch that season because they erase it from the plot, so
You
skip
just
that
skip right
season.
over it.
But otherwise, I just keep it on a
Continuous
cycle.
loop.
And Larry Hagman, actually, JR's mother was Mary Martin, the very famous Broadway actress and performer, and she was very, very devout Christian and Episcopalian, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
And she loved the Anglican Digest. We have letters that she wrote.
Oh, wow.
And listener, if you don't know, the Anglican Digest is a wonderful little publication you can get for free online. And I'm privileged to be part of that organization. But you asked me that TV show. That's my favorite TV show of all time, Dallas. And I even made my wife, Malaysia, go visit South Fork when we were in Dallas last year working. And it was so immature that I actually bought a bolo tie and got a hat and my picture taken in front of there.
Wow.
She did it gracefully, but I know she thought and questioned why she married me. And yeah, I guess also, listener, you ask, why is it my favorite show?
Yeah. Why?
Oh my gosh. It's just, my parents entertained a lot. We didn't live in South Fork by any means, but we had a nice house and we had that big, thick, ugly carpet that they have in Dallas. And there were always people drinking and smoking and arguing and talking about things, and big hair and low expectations and shoulder pads. It just feels like an old shoe. It's like reliving in a weird way. It's nostalgic.
Yeah. We're going home.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going home. And that's why Dallas. to this day, is the greatest TV show ever.
Very nice. Well, if you have a question for Father Charleston, you can email it to us at podcast@redeemersarasota.org, and we might ask it on the next episode. And do you, Father Charleston, have any final tasting notes to share with us about the wine we're drinking today?
Just one, and I don't really think it's a tasting note, but from having a couple more sips as we've been talking, it's a food note. I said, rush home and grill some venison or grill a steak.
Yeah.
I think if you want to marinate some meat before you grill it, I think you could, even if you put this could stand up to even a little spice.
Mm.
So if you want some rub or something and you want to smoke it, not so sure about a smoked meat with this. I want grilled meat, but don't be afraid to marinate something before you grill it to go with this wine.
Not marinated in the wine.
No. I mean, if you want to do that, that's your business. And a lot of recipes call for that.
Yeah.
But I would be okay with marinating the meat to tenderize it a bit, whatever, if it's venison or beef. Those are the two I think that would be best with this. And venison's a bit lean, but if I was doing beef, I think I'd want fattier cut of beef.
Mm.
At least a New York strip, maybe a ribeye.
Okay. Well, thank you. That sounds good. And you're serving that tonight? You're inviting us all over?
You're all invited.
All right.
Bring your own steak.
Thanks so much for joining us for Water into Wine with Father Charleston Wilson. We're looking forward to sharing more grace, more music, and more wine with you again soon. If you liked what you heard, follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. And if there's someone in your life, maybe a friend or a colleague or a family member, who might like to hear this episode, please share it with them. Water into Wine is produced by Church of the Redeemer in Sarasota, Florida. Audio engineering by Reed Corley of the Corley Company. Join us for our services, in person or via our live stream. And learn more at redeemersarasota.org/podcast. That's redeemersarasota.org/podcast.